Section86.com. We're changing the world of podcasting one show at a time.
86 Productions.
Take what you wanna take. Don't leave me here. Lasting leap years ever. Your fear of the one and only love.
Hello and welcome to Off the Mark special number 39, right after NXT TakeOver War Games in Chicago. So, we have on the show Mr. Aaron P. Hughes, we have Doug Hahn, Roger Cave, and Mr. Dave Pate. All right, so let's get right into, some of the matches. Aaron.
Well, Andy, I thought it might be interesting to talk with Dave. Dave was saying that the last wrestling event you went to was TNA. So, as far as pay-per-views go, you haven't been to a WWE pay-per-view in forever. Never. Okay. So Dave, just out of curiosity, what were your thoughts just kind of overall, like going to an event like this? Was this a enjoyable experience for you? Did you have a good time? Was it worth the money?
It was very enjoyable. It was something that I wasn't, used to. So, yeah, I mean, I'd like to go back again if I ever get the chance.
Now, we have gone to Royal Rumble together. The four of us have. And then we've gone to WrestleMania as well. Now we're doing Survivor Series. Would you be interested in going to a Royal Rumble or WrestleMania? Would you be interested in traveling somewhere for an event like this?
I would someday.
Yeah.
I mean, not right away, but yeah, I'd love to go.
All right. Well, and let's get right into the matches. Andy, as far as War Games went, what were your thoughts on the female War Games match?
Well, the female match, actually, I didn't think was as long as it was, but it was, I think it clocked in a little over 30 minutes, so that was very impressive. But yeah, I was impressed with the match. I think the only gripe that I have really is that it was 2-on-4. I wish that they would have had something better than doing it that, because I don't know why that kind of, it's okay that they did it, but also it doesn't sit well with me at the same time. But that is my overall thoughts. So, Roger, what did you think of it?
I mean, I liked it. I thought the match was really good. I would have loved to have seen someone like a Toni Storm come out, because I think that would have been a fantastic move. But I also understand that if you are going to have a surprise in the main event, that you probably don't want to do it in 2 War Game matches. Them winning 2-on-4 is a bit strange, and it's unusual considering how dominant Shayna has been. But at the same time, it wasn't like some cohesive team that lost, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's just a bit weird.
So, Roger, you had mentioned 2-on-4, and Doug, why was it 2-on-4? What happened?
So Mia Yim got knocked out well before during the pre-show, and I'm gonna go ahead and just say it. It's probably Dakota Kai that knocked her out, just so that she could be.
Are you sure?
I know, speculation, allegations.
Yeah.
Allegedly. I'm not saying she did do anything wrong. I'm just saying she did it, and that was enough for her to get into the match, and then she turned on Tegan Knox, her friend. I mean, because best friends, that's where relationships die, is in Chicago. There's definitely trust issues all over this match, and it very much reminded me, not so much of a big impact as a Tommaso Ciampa Gargano, but yeah, you go into Chicago with your best friend, you're not leaving friends anymore.
None of you are my best friend. Just letting you know that. You are very good friends.
Trust issues.
I agree with you, Roger. My big thing really was kind of the 2-on-4. I actually would have rather had Baszler win. I think that would have been a smarter move, just because, I mean, like a 2-on-4. If it was 3-on-4, like I get it, like the face is overcoming, but 2-on-4, it just felt like the heels have to win this, right?
Well, I will say this. The heels kind of messed up by taking themselves out of the match, so there was some logic in a sense of, like, Io took an unnecessary risk in doing that moonsault and essentially wiped out 2 members of her team. Katie Ray got absolutely destroyed by a trash can, kind of making an unnecessary move. And so that's the difference between 4 random superstars coming together as opposed to, like, the Undisputed Era, who would be on the same page. So I can kind of see how it worked. I don't necessarily know that I liked the way they finished it. I would probably have done it maybe like the Austin Brett flip over out of the Kirifuda clutch, but it's still a really, really good match. Like, nothing about it took away from it. It was just 4-on-2. That's not what you expect Baszler to lose.
I think this was the thing that I was very surprised at, was the fact that when you have this match and you have, I would have given Shayna the win on this one, just to have Rhea Ripley, when they actually fight one-on-one, maybe take, the the belt and everything like that, since it was kind of a 4-on-2 and everything like that. Still fight over 1-on-1. Rhea Ripley surprises everybody, takes Shayna's belt, because honestly, she seems like the best contender for Shayna to possibly lose it from. Now I'm a little bit worried that when we do get to that 1-on-1 match, Shayna's going to hold on.
Yeah, that would be something scary if Shayna, because there's some point where I think that you either need to, if she needs to move on, and you're making her so dominant that, like, at what point is it time for her to go elsewhere, or is it that she's always going to be there? Like, they need to decide that, so she has to be vulnerable in some way somehow, so let her lose the belt. I think they're going to have to do it eventually, but. Yeah, I do like the fact that Rhea actually did pin her, though. That says something. So at least it shows some way that she can be vulnerable. So I'll give her that. But overall, I mean, the match, I was happy with the outcome. Candice LeRae did, as best she could. She tried her best, and she did some crazy stuff in there as well. So, but it's definitely a win in my book.
We can't not talk about Io Shirai, though. Like, she was unbelievably over for being a heel.
The thing with her running back and forth in the ring, oh my gosh, that was amazing. And then, of course, the moonsault from the top of the cage. So that was crazy too. Anyways, let's talk about the next match. We had Pete Dunne taking on. Let's see, who was it? Damian Priest and Killian Dane. So we all knew Killian Dane was not going to win. I think I picked Damian Priest actually to win this because I thought that he would be the best one. But, and I should have thought about it, because if Adam Cole's going to retain, he's just going to take on Pete Dunne, and Pete Dunne's going to be the person who eats the pinfall. Like I think we said, there's one pay-per-view where there's the triple threat, and that was the whole thing.
I mean, like Kane was in there against Strowman and Brock, and it's like, we know who's going to lose. But yeah, no, I agree. It was an unfortunate spot because when you're put up after War Games, like, it's the cooldown match, and so it's not going to be that good. It was 20 minutes long. I felt like it was at least 5 minutes too long. It could have gone, a little bit. It could have been a little bit tighter. But Pete Dunne was the right one to win this, and it was good for what it was. It was the cooldown match, which, it's an unfortunate place to be.
Pete Dunne's definitely going to be the better of the competition at Survivor Series. I'd rather see Pete Dunne versus Adam Cole at Survivor Series. It'll be interesting to see how everything goes after the complete night. But I was expecting Damian Priest to win this one, and expecting Killian Dane to take the pinfall, which was, I think, the biggest surprise out of this match, is Damian Priest took the pinfall. So, it was a good match. It really was a good match, good solid match, and a lot of back and forth, a lot of nice little spots here and there. But I agree, a little bit long, but overall, very good match.
Yeah, I agree with Doug. The right guy won. Pete Dunne was the best choice. I mean, last time they were in Chicago, he had that unbelievable match with Tyler Bate where they tore the house down. And to be quite honest, I think Pete Dunne has I wouldn't say a big chance, but I would say it's realistic that he could walk out the NXT champion tomorrow, which I would not have thought going into tonight. So, a good match. It was the right cool down. Maybe 5 minutes less, but I don't even think it was that bad. So, it was in the right spot of the card for sure.
I think that it's hard to decide what match you should put after the War Games match. But anyways, next we had Matt Riddle take on Finn Balor. Dave, what'd you think of the Bro? And were you impressed with him taking on Mr. Balor?
The Bro. Okay. So,
Bro.
This is the first time I've actually watched him wrestle. He's actually a really good wrestler, and he took Finn Balor to the limit. I mean, Finn Balor, I love him. He's a great wrestler, and I think the right guy won.
Yeah, it was a very entertaining match. Finn is fantastic. To see that they were both over, even though they still put on a really good clinic, that was the right get people a little excited for. And, Matt Riddle is really good, and he is very believable. While we all picked Finn to win, because he was coming back to NXT, you expect him to win. Riddle, there was a lot of believable spots in that match, and so it was really good.
Right man won. It did the job it needed to do. Both guys looked over. I'd love to see Riddle kind of transition to a program for the North American title because I think that's a great spot for him. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match. They're both over. Finn Balor was going to win. I don't think there's any question about that. But really, really good match and a great undercard to the main event.
It was a good setup for the main event too. I think this whole card was wonderfully put together in the fact that they put the women's War Games first, and then a little bit of a slower match, but you built up the excitement, and this did exactly that. A little bit more exciting than the previous match, but again, I think a little bit longer. I think there were certain points in that match where I was losing a little bit of energy and kind of lost a little bit to some of the crowd chants that were not about the match itself. I think it was turn the fog off and we want smoke. We want smoke. And yeah, it was definitely, I mean, obviously for those who weren't at the pay-per-view and didn't see it, they turned a fog machine on in one of the sections that is not going to be on camera and everything like that. And it kept blocking the view of those poor fans. And unfortunately, there was a section that seemed to be the trolls of the stadium that kept wanting to just shout, it's the Raw after WrestleMania. This is where the heels get cheered and the faces get booed, and no, it's Chicago. That's what's going to happen. And it was a very good match, reestablishing Finn, I think, as a dominant force in NXT. Something he absolutely needed, but yet still carried Riddle to a good match, and to a point where Riddle even probably got a little bit of a boost from that too.
And then finally, we get to War Games. Andy, I know that you had been thinking about this all year long when it was announced that War Games was me in Chicago. This is what you were looking forward to, was seeing War Games. So obviously we saw the female, which was good, and then we have the men's. It was an actual 4-on-4 match. Thoughts overall with War Games?
I mean, they didn't say who the special fourth person was, and I was figuring it was going to be someone, maybe like a Velveteen Dream, as a far reach CM Punk. But then overall, someone threw out the name Kevin Owens, and it kind of made sense. And when KO came out, he was wearing the old NXT shirt. Ironically, since I've worn it every time I've gone to an NXT event, I was wearing mine at NXT shirt as well. So I was a little stoked about it. That was awesome to see him come out. But yeah, it was a good choice to have him come out. Overall, though, the match was just awesome. I'll let you guys talk about some of your spots, because some of those spots were just unheard of.
Kevin Owens coming out was the highlight of the night, just because the pop was unreal. It wasn't as great as if Triple H had come out, because Aaron's reaction would have been the highlight of the night. That would have been absolutely fantastic.
My reaction would have been yours at the end of WrestleMania 32. Go. Everyone leave. It's time to go. Go. We know who's winning. There's no money in the bank. Go.
But what was nice about that is that all 8 guys really shine in that match. I don't think anyone came away from that match looking worse, outside of the fact that they looked like they got destroyed, and we'll talk about that some more. But it was a really good showcase. All those guys looked fantastic. Keith Lee looked like an absolute monster. Dijakovic, you can definitely tell he's still a little bit green. I think Aaron and I talked about this, but there's potential. You understand what they see in him. It's not a Baron Corbin situation where you're like, what do you see in this guy? Obviously, Ciampa's a monster. He's the most over guy pretty much on NXT right now, and then Kevin Owens, it goes without being said. I mean, that closing spot, it was the most scared I've been watching a spot. I was actually terrified that they might get hurt. One wrong adjustment, and things are going very, very poorly. But they pulled it off to their credit, and it was a great match. It's ending. I hope everyone's okay.
It was definitely a wonderful match. Keith Lee, I honestly want to see him just pick up the cage and walk down to the cage, to the actual inside ring cage, because he was moving that thing around so much and everything. And you could see the refs just kind of try to nudge it back into position every time he would just grab it and shake it. He's a beast. I can't say his last name. Dijakovic is, you're right. He is a little bit green still, but at the same time, what a wonderful potential he has, and to see them go forward with that and everything like that, great. Kevin Owens, big pop. Loved seeing Kevin Owens come back. Pop-up powerbomb, the stunners, everything that was going on. The Don't Call Me a Pile Driver Canadian Destroyer that he took. Oh, this match, it truly is a special event. It's one of them that is I believe a must see if you're a wrestling fan. Go see a War Games live because there's nothing like it, and to see it in Chicago is even better.
Do you think that spot was botched? And did you think that spot was actually initially botched when that it was supposed to happen right then, and it's almost like Owens, the timing was a little bit off, or do you think it was done like that on purpose?
If it was botched, they covered it up well because he made it kind of look like he was trying to stop him, and then all of a sudden they fully went through with it, and I think there's only a couple real noticeable botches. Throwing of Riley to the other ring was definitely something that didn't look right, and yeah, the landing definitely didn't look right, and I do pray for all those wrestlers because it's going to be amazing to see if they can even really truly walk. I mean, what does does Vince get it? Does he get it that these guys, I mean, this is almost along the lines of how stupid it is to have a pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia and fly back to Buffalo just to fly back to the UK the very next days. And so you put these guys through War Games, and now you expect them to compete at Survivor Series on a main pay-per-view, a Big Four pay-per-view, and not be hurt? Like,
NXT is getting swept. This was this was their showcase, and most certainly I'll be very curious to the storylines going into tomorrow because they have went through war. I mean, they all look like hell. I mean, Adam Cole looks beat up. Bobby Fish didn't look like he could walk. Kyle O'Reilly's back was bleeding. I don't know if it was the back of his head or his actual back. They just look like crap, and I don't even know who's on Team NXT for both the men's or the women's, but of that roster, who isn't destroyed so far? It ain't Dakota Kai, I tell you that.
Yeah, the War Games itself, I was incredibly excited to see it, and the men's, they did a fantastic job. Of course, the main spot, the spot at the end, as Roger had said, that was the scariest spot I've ever seen live, and that includes, we were at WrestleMania 32, where we saw Shane jump, off the Hell in a Cell, but even that, I mean, it's a long jump, but it was padded underneath, and so this was not padded, and, other than the tables, right? Like, and ask Mick Foley how padded his was when he took his jump. So, not quite the same. But yeah, I was crazy. Dave, what did you think of War Games?
What did I think of War Games? Well, personally, I was hoping that Lee would have went through the ring when he was taken off the top rope. And I thought suicide was being committed when Ciampa took Bebe off the top rope, or off the top of the cage. And overall, not being somebody who's watched a lot of NXT, I am very impressed with what I saw, and I'm going to start watching it more often.
Well, Doug, since you have the mic right now, what's the best match of the night for you?
I think best match of the night is the men's War Games. It was exceptionally exciting when you have the excitement when Kevin Owens comes out. And you could definitely see it on Cole's face, the shock to his system that just it was amazing, and everything else that the spots were right on, the final table spots and everything was just wonderful, and scary. I really hope Cole can get to a doctor soon.
The two War Games matches to me stood out. Like, they were the 1A and 1B of the night. And both of them had some fantastic spots. I really enjoyed seeing kind of the debut of Bad Kai. That was fantastic. Watching her just absolutely brutalize Tegan Nox was a thing of beauty, and Shayna Baszler laughing was hilarious and hysterical. I mean, she's a terrifying human being, but watching her skip down with a smile on her face is probably one of the more terrifying things I've seen. Until, as we said earlier, we almost saw Ciampa kill Adam Cole. The men's War Game match was my match of the night. I mean, that was really good. It had the surprise factor. It had the wow factor. It had some great power spots. It had a great high-flying ending. And the ending was perfect. Like, the women's War Games match, that ending was kind of like, I wouldn't have done that. Whereas that men's one, you're like, oh, no, that's the end. And it ended on the exact right note.
I would say the men's War Game because I've always been a big fan of the 4-on-4, 5-on-5 type matches. I think it makes it way more exciting. Having a cage involved makes it 10 times more exciting. And then you never know what's going to happen in it.
War games for me as well. You know, men's in particular. That spot. It was good. It was a good match overall too. I was taking a look at the times. That one was like 38 minutes long. I want to say the women's was about 29, and I felt the men's went by a little bit quicker. It felt like there was a little bit more action to it, and obviously, you know, you have the fourth member, and it's not 2-on-4, so it wasn't just a lot of the baby faces getting beaten up. It was back and forth. You had the tables in there. Of course, the big spot at the end. It was fantastic. So yeah, easily match of the night for me.
I'll have to sweep it just because it was. I mean, that's what it boils down to. But awesome.
Sweeping like my picks tonight when I went perfect 4 for 4 there, like that kind of sweep.
Exactly. But yeah, definitely. Take War Games. That was something different. We've seen Hell in the Cell matches, stick cage matches. I mean, that there is something special about that. Having that extra ring in there, that is something intriguing, to say the least. But all right. So that's all the time we have for this special. If you're into the Twitter, you can follow the show at AllTheMark86. I want to thank 86 Productions for hosting and editing the podcast, and I want to thank all our listeners for taking the time to download and listen to the show. And for Dave Pate, Roger Cave, Doug Hahn, and Aaron Hughes, I am Andrew Hughes, and until next time, we'll see you in the ring.